sick of these things that's going on.
I was going to ask what started it all, because a lot of times people become musicians because of they got a dad or an aunt or a mom or an uncle that, you know, somebody's playing music.
I think that's what's unique kind of about our band and us being educators is because we grew up doing, we listened to music. My mom would always take us to all the festivals. There is a festival for every single thing in Louisiana, especially South Louisiana.
Yeah.
So, we were going to Festival International when it was just a stage or two. And now it's huge. And then, but on the radio, we listen to normal stuff. And then whenever you enter into band in school, then you're opened up to that world. And I was exposed to jazz, same as you. And so we enjoyed playing, trumpet, or he played bass in jazz bands. So then in the back of your mind, you have that influence in all these jazz musicians that you've been listening to for years and years and years.
Sure.
I know one I love is in New York. I think he's New York or Boston, something like that, Adam Rappa. He's an awesome trumpet player. And so then that funk that you like and all that, I find it starting to enter into our music because we had that upbringing. There's no musicians in my family. My dad kind of fiddled on drums, but it's not like most culture musicians in our area. They grew up in a household where their dad or mom or grandparents played. So we didn't get that experience because our parents do not play.
Right.
So our love of music came from school activities and then going into college and continuing those things. And so I've actually only been playing accordion for 4 years. Not very long at all, considering, I've played trumpet or French horn for God knows how many years. So whenever I went back to UL to get my master's, I told them I'm done with the band stuff. Like, I don't want to play French horn anymore because it doesn't serve any purpose. I'm just teaching music. I'm not really playing music in that genre, classical music or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so then they allowed me to start accordion because UL is one of the only schools, few schools that offer traditional music.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't the first time I went. The year after I graduated, they started the program.
Oh, okay.
So, and then when I was getting my degree, we needed a bass player, so he kind of came in, and that's kind of how it took off.
Yeah. Do you think that, like for your instance, gaining more music experience outside of the home, do you think that kind of expedites the process of bringing more of different genres into traditional music, or the translation of? Do you see what I'm saying? Because you, like with you were hearing more traditional music because it was in your home, and you found it outside of the home, and you were finding it on the radio, and like you were talking about in school, where they didn't even the first year they didn't teach traditional music. Right. Because I feel like genres borrow from each other, and they kind of, some of it translates well, some of it doesn't. A lot of people say everything starts with the blues, for instance, and then you have rock and roll that draws off of it. But so for your style, Poisson Rouge style of traditional Cajun music, do you think there's a tinge of something else coming into it? Do you know?
I do, and I like to think that just the progression of music or of any genre, you always have those bands that push the meaning. And we were talking about this while setting up. It's like, well, what do you call yourself? What genre would you be? Or
sure. And
going back to say, like, we absolutely are not afraid to let our previous musical experiences influence the music that we write now, while still trying to stay true to our roots and genre. Like that, I don't think we have any song that you can listen to that's like, man, that doesn't sound like Louisiana music. I think that, and I think we do a really good job of staying true to that.
Yeah, we were just had practice last night, and I was fussing because I said, the song or the tempo, you can't dance to it. I grew up as a big dancer because I didn't play accordion at the time. And it's a social music. It's a dance music.
Absolutely.
So to me, that is very important. Whereas sometimes, like jazz, and I did Lindy Hop dancing in New Orleans. I do some clinics and stuff. They have social dancing too, but they also have just chill. chill and listen and absorb it and take it in. But for the most part, zydeco, Cajun, and creole music is dance music.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you want to be involved with it.
So I think we evolve it. It's naturally, you know, it has an evolution, but it still sticks to a core of zydeco music. I wouldn't always say that we're Cajun just because a lot of Cajun and creole has the fiddle. We don't have that.
Yeah.
So we have more rubber and, you know, more zydeco.
I think what's interesting too, two things. One, especially at least with my family, music and food always commemorate any event, and you come together for one or both, you know, and everybody's involved,
right.
You know. The second thing you were talking about, it was honestly, what's interesting to me is that you feel a responsibility to remain true to your roots while you're still open to the idea of letting other genres influence where you go from here. Whereas I would say previous generations might have been all but forbidden from even considering such a thing, you know? And it kind of, I understand why some people might forbid others from doing that in previous generations, but I think it hinders creativity a bit, you know?
Well, and we talk about that often because, I mean, I love Cajun music. I love it all. But the Cajuns tend to stick to all those standards. So a lot of times you go listen to a Cajun band and they're all playing the same songs because they're playing the songs of the past, and it's great for preserving our culture. And that means a lot to them, probably because a lot of the abuse that they experience. Whereas I find the zydeco musicians, you know, people are complaining, well, that's not zydeco because it sounds more R&B these days. But, you know, it's like Lil Nate was telling us, who was it? The Cheniers. You know, they started their style and then it evolved. And then now you have Keith Frank, who is, you know, the king of zydeco doing his thing. And then you have people like Lil Nate, you know, they're starting to do this R&B style. There's influences there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But other people, well, I guess that's my opinion, but other people will say, oh, well, that's not this or that's not that. But I think for us, we don't really say, okay, well, I'm going to make this infused with this genre or that. It's just, our music has always been about who you are.
As
That's
it
who I
should
am.
be, yeah.
I grew up in jazz band, and him too. So it just naturally meshes.
Yeah.
You know, we don't go out seeking it. And the old Cajun people or Creole people, whenever they were singing songs, it was about who they are and the challenges they faced. You know, it represented their lifestyle at that time.
Sure.
Mostly their stories. So
Right.
I feel like musically it kind of represents our story. We're not trying to do it on purpose.
Sure.
But that's a natural evolution, I think.
Yeah. And I read, I was just down a Facebook rabbit hole the other day on a musician forum, and I read this post that this guy had made saying how as musicians we have to make music for, the music that we make has to be appealed to other people. And I sat and I thought about that for a little while, and I thought how much I disagreed with that statement and how it applies to us is because by just staying still and putting yourself inside that box, like if we said we can only do traditional, this type of music, whatever that genre is, then now that spark and that creativity is gone and that growth is now depleted. You can't
Sure.
go anywhere with that. So I think that we have to making music, the kind of music that we want to make. And if you like our music, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you so much for listening to our music. But if you don't like it, then, you know, that's cool too. You know,
Quite simply, yeah.
Right.
Move on.
Right. And you think about something else. Like every time you sit down to make lunch, I'm not making lunch for an entire community.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gating. Oh, I'm not going to eat a sandwich a day because you don't like that. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of a weird way to think about it. So, I think I'm super proud of the fact, and Carly said this too, that we stay true to what we want to do. We make it fit, and I think we make it fit well, but, you know, there's some degree it's like, take it or leave it.
Sure. I think you also mentioned, Kylie, earlier that a lot of these, I guess if you want to call them covers, but the traditional songs that you keep hearing over and over again are telling stories of their ancestors. So I think maybe if that particular band is coming from the place of custodian of history, you know what I'm saying, then it makes sense to them to remain the same all the time within these lines. And maybe it's not for others, you know.
Right.
I don't.
Right. If my grandparents played certain songs,
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely say, well, my papa played this, and I'm gonna play it too. You know, so I could still see it how people would do that. That's just not us because that wasn't our upbringing. So
Sure.
everybody's right to do however they want to preserve the culture. Or, you know, we're all Cajuns and Creoles,
Mm-hmm.
or French, you know, Louisianians, and you're gonna carry on the tradition however you see fit.
Sure.
You know.
What's your lineup right now? I saw a washboard in one of the videos. Who do you have playing what?
We have Carly, and Carly and I are married. So Carly is our songwriter, singer, and plays accordion. I play bass. Carly and I have a songwriting process where she'll write the words and the lyrics and the main melodies, and I'll come behind and add some chords and stuff like that. And then we have Jude Pryor, who's our guitar player.
Okay.
Bradley Gayo, who's our frottoir or washboard player, and Mr. Scott Domingue, who's our percussionist.
Okay.
So 5 of us.
And he's also, if anybody listening wants to check out Knock Shaws, he's a Cajun comedian as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, you better spell that.
Nonc is Nonc.
Uh-huh.
Shaws, Chau. How he spells it?
Chauz.
With a Z.
Yeah,
So
with a comma
Shaws
to the
is
top.
Just like thing, like
Okay.
this Shaws and that
Yeah.
Shaws, this
Yeah.
thing and that. You know, everything could be a Shaws.
Sure.
Right.
So, yeah, but it makes it. You see, I'm laughing already. It's hard to do a gig when you're the front person and you have all these couillons in the back. They always cutting up, and it makes it fun though. But
Yeah, we have a good time.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I don't think it was
absolutely.
ever meant to be serious in the first place.
right, right.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Y'all, from what I gathered, are playing a lot of festivals. I mean, I know you mentioned, I think Louisiana has more festivals than there are days in the year, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right.
But, and, you know, which is amazing, is fantastic. But, so y'all are getting a lot of gigs through the different festivals throughout the course of a year.
we're
Can you-
trying.
Yeah.
Can you name a few for everybody out there listening?
One we just did. I'm coming off of maternity leave, so the last one we did, at 35 weeks pregnant. I wasn't too excited about playing hot and sweaty, but we did Crawfish Festival.
In
I saw that.
Brokerage, yeah.
Brokerage, yeah. That was a fun one, but it was a hot one.
I
It was
bet.
hard when we did the 4th of July festival here in Erath. And we've done a couple of things for the town of Abbeville. We have something coming up for them.
Yeah, these like continuing our culture, reviving it.
Mhm.
There's a few festivals within it, like a series type of thing.
Okay.
And we played one before, and we're about to play another one October 1st.
Yeah, it's called Grand Acadien, or the like the great reveal of. It's just getting in touch with Louisiana's Acadian culture.
Sure.
And so it's this program, and they have different spots. Last year we did one in St. Martinville, and then this year we're going to do one in Abbeville, right down the road.
So it's put on by the same company?
It's the same.
It's an organization.
It's an organization.
type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a
and it-
cultural organization that has functions.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm losing my mind, baby. The worst things happen, I feel. Begging for mercy, there ain't no connection out here. I'm getting sick of these things that's going on.